Hi, I'm Kathy, and I have the opportunity to introduce our speaker today, Debbie Zimmerman. And I have to tell you, she's really unique, as all of you know that know Debbie, because when she was 14 years old, she watched when her grandparents were diagnosed with diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and cancer, and she made a pledge. Her pledge was a life of prevention. She wanted to prevent her life from turning out that way, and she wanted to prevent those who she loved and cared about and her friends from doing the same thing. So, what did that look like in Debbie's life? Well, she followed a profession where she could do that, where she worked as the health person in the Polk County schools, and she led all of the prevention activities. It was amazing. In fact, I personally benefited from some of the work she did because I was there too. But then things got tight. You know how budgets are, and schools don't always get all the money they need, and they had to cut her job. Well, there was one school board member who was watching what was going on when Debbie had gone somewhere else to share all the good news about prevention. And this school board member looked at what it was like when Debbie was there for a self-insured self-insured for health insurance for their employees with Debbie, and what it was like without. And she went to the school board members and said, we cannot afford not to have Debbie. So Debbie came back and finished her career doing those kinds of things. She loved to coach, and she loved to encourage people to make those health strides that would make a difference on the chronic diseases. Well, then it was time for retirement. And like most of us, we had the opportunity to sit back and let the world pass us by, but not Debbie. She made that pledge as a 14-year-old. And so she started her own company, Phyto-fit, where she could coach everybody. And she's been doing that. But you know, it's just not enough to build on her experience, she thought. So she went and got more training. And I've got a list here because there's so many things. One of them is she had national certification in lifestyle medicine from the American College of Lifestyle. She had wellness and health coaching, sports nutrition, aerobic fitness, personal fitness and training. And she also had the Cornell-based nutrition certificate to learn more about plant-based eating. And then she was chosen to be a Food for Life trainer. Boy, that's a prestigious job. And we're so glad that she's here today to talk with us and help coach us again with one of the things that she does on the side, which is Polk Wellness Professionals and Chat and Chew More Plants. So Debbie, welcome. And what can you tell us today about color on the plate?
Well, Kathy, thank you for letting me be here. And thank you for that awesome but humbling introduction. I wasn't expecting quite all of that. So I really do thank you for that. Okay, so color your plate for health stakes. You know, all of us have heard probably since we were young and a child that we need to have a rainbow on our plate, because that saying rainbow on your plate really started in elementary school when we were trying to teach kids the importance of having those fruits and vegetables when they're deciding that, no, this is not what I want. But, you know, you say, no, you need to have this because it's so healthy for you. So we have all heard about that rainbow on our plate, and we may not know the true reason for it. And it's very simple. Research has shown that the more color we have on our plate, the more healthy, or the healthier we're going to be, and the more vitality we're going to have. So when we think about how do we get our vitamins, our nutrients, our minerals, everything that we need to thrive, it starts with our colors. And we need every single color to make sure we have the most diverse diet possible. So today we're going to answer a few questions for you. Why add color? Well, how does the US actually rank in putting color on our plate? What are the benefits of all of those various colors, from red, orange, green, blue to brown and white? And how do we eat more colorful plants on our plate? Let's make it simple. Okay, so adding more color to your plate will help you live longer, healthier life. And Dr. Greger's latest book, How Not to Age, he actually recommends that we have 50 different plants on our plate every single week for longevity. Now, some of you may not want longevity. So you may say, well, I'm not going to eat that many. That's way too many for me to eat. But if we step back, we know that Brenda Davis, the registered dietitian, who's also a pioneer in the plant-based world, we know that she recommends 30 different plants on our plate every week. And Dr. Will Bulsiewicz, who is a gastroenterologist, talks about how 40 different plants on our plate every week is going to help build out that microbiome and give us those short chain fatty acids that are going to benefit not only our heart, but also our brain. So for me, more is better, but how do you get more? And those same phytonutrients that are protecting our plants. So yes, phytonutrients or phytochemicals, they are interchangeable, but a lot of people don't want you to think that you are getting chemicals in your plants. So they call them phytonutrients, but all plants have phytonutrients. And what they do is those phytonutrients protect the plant from outside invaders, like pests, like in fungus that attack them. So those phytonutrients are vital to the life of the plant. Well, those same phytonutrients help protect us from chronic diseases. And so we need to get that whole spectrum of plants so that we're getting that whole spectrum of protection from the plants. So why a rainbow? We're going to be talking about all of the colors in a rainbow and how this kaleidoscope of plants meets the nutritional needs for optimal mind and body. And by the way, if you have questions throughout the presentation, please jot them down in the chat box and we're going to address them along the way. Okay, so how does the US stack up against other nations and putting color on our plates? Well, as you can see from this, very poorly. Now, this is looking at greens. So it can be a green apple or a green leafies. And only 69%, 69% of the population falls short. And we know how bad that is. But when we say for our purple and our blues that 88% fall short, then it makes our 69% look really good. So in all of these different colors, you see that we are falling way short of what we should be doing. In other words, only 20% of us are getting all of the colors in our diet that are so important for us. So let's start with our red. And we know right off the bat that we have watermelon, we have strawberries, we have beets, we have so many different red vegetables. Well, they provide the antioxidants, vitamins, and the minerals that we need. So what do they do? Now, you may have heard, especially if you've been in one of my classes, that lycopene is one of the key ingredients in red vegetables and fruits. And lycopene is the first cousin to beta carotene, and that means it is a powerful antioxidant. So whenever I say antioxidant this morning, I want you to realize that an antioxidant is going to torpedo free radicals that are in our bodies. And we're going to get free radicals from just breathing too much oxygen. Okay, but we'll be getting those free radicals in a number of places. And when we eat these, eat the lycopene, and when we eat the beta carotene, we know that we're torpedoing those free radicals. Now, guys, listen up, because lycopene is your best friend. If you eat 10 servings of tomatoes in 1 week, 10 servings, And one serving can be 1 tablespoon of ketchup. But if you eat 10 servings a week, you're going to reduce your risk for prostate cancer by 35%. And if you know your risk for prostate cancer or the global risk for prostate cancer here in the United States, 1 in 2 men are going to have prostate cancer. So if you're reducing your risk just by having that lycopene and 10 servings of tomatoes, then by golly, let's give it a try, right? So lycopene is an anti-cancerous, or it has anti-cancerous properties. We also know that red has both lycopene and resveratrol, which is found in red grapes. We know that that is also heart healthy. We've heard for so long that drinking red wine is going to help our heart. Well, red wine comes from red grapes, folks. So why not just have the red grapes and you can eat them all day long and enjoy them? Your red strawberries and your red peppers are packed with vitamin C. That's also a very powerful antioxidant, and it helps to neutralize those free radical or the free radical damage. They also contain phytonutrients, which reduces oxidative stress and improves immune function. Now, I've got to just step back and say something about oxidative stress, because when we have a lot of stress and it becomes chronic stress, and then it leads into oxidative stress. And that oxidative stress is like the beginning of the dominoes falling. And that oxidative stress can lead to chronic diseases. So when we have our anti-inflammatories and we have our anti-cancerous, we are always impacting, or we're impacting the oxidative stress that's in our body. And so that's going to help at least reduce our risk factors for the chronic diseases. Now, here are just a few red fruits and vegetables. This list is nowhere conclusive. I don't have red beans or legumes in here. We don't have, or I don't have red rice in here. So there are a lot of things in here. And if you see something on this list, please put it in the chat box so that other people will realize that this is totally not a conclusive list. Because all of these are in the plant family, we know that they also have fiber. And fiber plays such a crucial role in maintaining a healthy gut, which is closely linked to our immune function. A diverse and balanced gut microbiome helps regulate the immune response. It enhances the production of short-chain fatty acids, and it supports the development of our immune cells. So we can't get that healthy gut microbiome if we're not eating at least 30 or 40 plants per week. And of course, if we make it up to 50, we're going to see that longevity is going to be our friend. Next, we're going to move to our yellow and orange. And as I said, lycopene is the cousin of beta carotene. And beta carotene is the key ingredient in our yellow and orange. But we also see some other things. We see B6, vitamin C, and potassium. So let's talk about our B vitamins, because our B vitamins are just going to always give us energy. So whenever you think about B vitamins, think about energy. We also know that on a plant-based diet, and this is totally digressing, but on a plant-based diet, we can't get B12. So we always need to take that as a supplement. That's always important to put out there so that people realize the importance of having that B12 on a regular basis. Okay, B6 also plays a crucial role in the metabolism of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, converting them into energy for our bodies. Our yellow peppers have more vitamin C in them than their green counterpart, the green pepper. They also contain vitamin A, potassium, and beta carotene, which of course are powerful antioxidants and they support our eye health as well as boost our immune system. Now, ladies, I know none of us are old, but as we grow older, we're going to have an issue with skin and collagen. And maybe some of you have said, well, why do we need collagen? Well, collagen is what's going to help keep our skin youthful looking. It's going to help keep it saggy free and, you know, all of those other things. So collagen is our friend, but it starts with vitamin C. So when we look at our oranges, when we look at our mangoes and all of those things, even our yellow peppers, we think about collagen and skin elasticity. So we should all be consuming lots of yellow and orange on a daily basis. Dr. Barnard talks about having 2 large carrots every day to get the minimum amount of beta carotene that we need on a daily basis. So 2 large, and that would be 30 milligrams of beta carotene a day, 2 large. Okay, let's think about corn, because corn is the quintessential yellow vegetable that we all need. Beyond being a great grain and a great vegetable, it is an excellent source of fiber. It's also an excellent B vitamin, antioxidant, and it has lutein and zeaxanthin in it, which promotes eye health. Now, these 2 are very important because they have been shown to help prevent cataracts and degenerative eye diseases. So when we are thinking about eye health, we know that carrots help, but that corn is right on up there. That beta carotene is so important. Of course, the fiber is going to help with our digestion, and it also is going to help with blood sugar regulation. And that's important for those people who have diabetes, because some of them think, well, I can't have corn because it has too much natural sugar. Yes, but that sugar is counteracted by the fiber. So I want you to feel free to have the corn. Just make sure you don't have the butter on top of it. And I have to say a special shout out for mangoes. So our mangoes are packed with vitamin C, vitamin A and E, as well as antioxidants. And we don't have a lot of fruits and vegetables that have vitamin E in them. So think about vitamin E as one of those, or your mangoes as one of those superfoods that you certainly want to have. Okay, so our next one is going to be our fruits and vegetables here. And once again, this is not a complete list, but one thing that I don't have on this list, and you may have already caught it, is turmeric. And turmeric is that yellow spice. Sorry, we had somebody at the door and the dogs are shouting. Turmeric is one of those spices that has been in medicine, you know, Chinese medicine for years, I mean, not years, but centuries. It's century old. And the active ingredient is curcumin, which is a potent anti-inflammatory with antioxidant properties. Now, remember when I said anti-inflammatory and antioxidants. So the inflammation on the inside, the oxidative stress that's on the inside of us, all of that can lead to chronic diseases. So when we are taking in this turmeric and we are getting these antioxidants and anti-inflammatories, we are helping reduce that propensity towards chronic diseases. Dr. Michael Greger, in his book, How Not to Die, recommends that we have at least 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric every single day. And if you mix that with your ground pepper, we know that it's going to activate the curcumin, which is the active ingredient in that. Now, sweet potatoes, which are my favorite, and if you studied the blue zones, you know that sweet potatoes are certainly a superfood in all of the blue zones, and they are classified as a superfood. One medium sweet potato has 400% of the recommended daily intake of vitamin A. Now, a lot of you may be thinking, well, you know, Debbie, you were not supposed to be getting all of that vitamin A. But when you're getting it from a natural source, like your plants, it's not going to be toxic to your system. If you're getting it in pill form, then it can become toxic to your system. Okay. And by the way, what is a superfood? A superfood is a food that is nutrient dense, nutrient rich, and it has the potential health benefits due to its high vitamin, minerals, and antioxidant contents. Okay, so I'm hoping that y'all are putting in the chat box all of these fruits and vegetables that we are missing here. We're moving on to our greens. And yes,
Kathy had a red rice and red beans. Red rice and red beans.
While she was in Cambodia.
No, for you wanted vegetables in the chat box.
The things that were missing. Yes, the red rice and the red beans were missing, of course, in those. And those are filled with antioxidants as well. Okay, so here we go with our greens. Our greens are just superfoods. That's all I can say, superfoods. And in Dr. Furman's book, he talks about the ANDI score. So ANDI is an acronym for the Aggregate Nutrient Density Index. And he has a formula for that. I'm not going to go through the formula, but the top 5 most perfect plants that you can consume are greens: kale, collards, you can name them, kale, collards, mustards, and there's a few others in there, and they are perfect. So they are going to boost your immune system. We know that they are good for the heart. They're going to restore energy and vitality. They also help detoxify the body for all of those people who are into detoxing the body. So vitamin K is a key ingredient here, and we know that that is essential for bone health, and it helps to regulate the calcium in our bones. Vitamin K may reduce the risk of osteoporosis, and that's very important when we are aging, but none of us are aging in this class. Vitamin K also plays a critical role in blood clotting, and some medications may interfere with vitamin K, or maybe I should say vitamin K will interfere with some medication. So we should always discuss this with our doctor. But the cardiovascular benefits by preventing the calcification in the arteries is very, very important. It also helps prevent or reduce the risk of arterial stiffness and cardiovascular disease. We also know that it has folate, or what is known as B9, and that helps to repair DNA damage. We also know that folate is very important for women who are pregnant. They want you to start taking folate supplements before, during, and after your baby is delivered. So it's very important in that regard. And this isn't even in my notes, but I do remember homocysteine is a risk factor for a high homocysteine level is a risk factor for heart disease. When we eat our greens and we get that folate, it is going to reduce our homocysteine level and, of course, reduce our risk for cardiovascular disease. We also know that a lot of our green cruciferous vegetables have sulforaphane in them, and those are not only antioxidants but anti-inflammatory, reducing the effect of the free radicals in our bodies. And of course, all of that helps to reduce our risk for cardiovascular disease heart disease, and neurodegenerative diseases. A common question that I get is, if we're not drinking milk or eating cheese or eating yogurt, how are we getting the calcium that we need for our bodies or for our bones? And that's very easy. Our beans and greens, those are critical. Those are both high in calcium. They are also high in zinc. So they're very good for us in building and maintaining those healthy bones throughout our whole life cycle. So I say that, you know, as youth, we want to build those bones. We want to have a lot of those beans and greens. And at 18, that process kind of ends, and we have to support them for the rest of our life. And that can be done with beans and greens. And of course, our K vitamin, our K1, helps to promote bone health and also maintain the bone density. So once again, here are greens. This is not a long list. And probably if Dr. Esselstyn was here, he would say, Debbie, you've left off some of those cruciferous, but here are those greens. And you can put others in the chat box. Now, purple and blue, these are the ones that I love the most. And certainly, when I think about them, I think about mind health, because the Shirzais are always talking about eating those berries, especially the blueberries, and how important they are. But Dr. Greger says that the strawberries are just as important for our brain. But our blues also impact cardiovascular and cancer. Once again, mind health, the cognition, but they decrease inflammation and they improve our skin health as well. We have the anthocyanins, which are those antioxidants that help neutralize our free radicals. They reduce oxidative stress, so therefore it's protecting our cells from damage. And they help prevent chronic diseases. Resveratrol, we already talked about that, but that's also found, and we know that it can reduce inflammation, reduce or improve endothelial function, and it also protects the cell lining of the blood vessels, which is very, very important, because in that process, it's helping lower the LDL cholesterol, and the LDL is what we call the lousy, the ones that we don't want, and it sits on the artery walls and it starts forming the plaque, and we don't want that plaque to form. So if it's not forming, if it's protecting the blood vessels, then we also know that it's reducing our risk for heart disease. And then we have some bioactive phytonutrients in there, like flavonoids and phenolic acid. And these have been shown to have anti-cancerous properties. They inhibit the growth of cancer cells, and they induce apoptosis, which is programmed cell death, and they prevent formation of tumors. So when we're looking at all of these different colors, I hope you see that every single one of them has impacted not only cancer, heart disease, some of them diabetes, and aging, but also it is improving our immune function as well. So I don't think any of these was shy on those parts. Okay, so this one also protects the immune system. The blue and purples also have polyphenols in those, which again are antioxidants and are also anti-inflammatory. The antioxidants in there, we know, help to protect our skin. And the flavonoids complement the vitamin C, and they contribute to skin health, and it helps to protect us against UV damage, reducing inflammation and promoting collagen synthesis. Sorry, my lips aren't working. But when we start seeing that collagen, we know that it's going to help our skin with the elasticity. And I know that there are just hundreds of supplements out there that have collagen. You know, they say it has collagen in it. It supports collagen health. And here we can get all of these from our fruits and our vegetables. So don't waste your money on supplements. Buy good fruits and vegetables. So here is a slide of our purple and our blue fruits and vegetables. And, you know, one thing I don't have on there is purple rice, which I really enjoy eating. And I'm sure I don't have purple beans on there. So this is not a conclusive list. It's just a list that you can see that there is a world of color in our fruits and vegetables. And when you start looking at putting 30, 40, or 50 of these on your plate every week, it really is very easy because you just have so many to choose from. And when you go to the grocery store, just realize that they're all there. Not all of them. Bilberry is one that is not on this list. I'm not sure why I didn't put it on there, because bilberry is very close to blueberries, but it is very nutrient dense. And but I don't know where to find that. So if anybody knows where to find that, please put that in the book as well, or in the chat box. So let me check my time. Okay, I'm doing okay, I hope. So brown and white is our last category here. And we know that this is once again protective against certain cancers. It keeps the bone strong and it's heart healthy. We've already talked about sulforaphane, but it is found in our brown and whites. One chemical that I love in this category is allicin. And the allicin is found in your onions and your garlic. Once again, if you've been in any of my classes, you know that when we cut onions and when we cut garlic, we leave them to rest. We cut and rest at least 10 minutes because that activates the allicin. And the allicin is a strong antioxidant that protects us against cancer. So we really want to make sure that we are enjoying our onions and garlic, and certainly in our cooking demonstration, we have used them. So it also has antimicrobial activity, and that's because it is a sulfur-containing compound, and it helps to inhibit the growth of bacteria, viruses, and fungi, as well as other parasites, making it useful for the prevention of infections. Some cultures eat a whole pod of, well, maybe a whole clove. Is it a clove or a pod? Anyway, the great big one, I think it's pod. Yeah, the whole pod of garlic every single day to help fight prevention. We also know that's going to keep the zombies away, or the zombie apocalypse away. But anyway, just a little humor there. But we know that garlic is very, very good for us. But sometimes if we eat too much of it, it starts coming out in our pores. So we also know that it has antioxidants. So the other thing that these brown and whites have, quercetin. Now that was something that we heard a whole lot of when we were going through COVID, that we should have this on a daily basis. Well, our brown and white vegetables have them. We also find that in apples as well, and in the flesh of the apples, because that has the quercetin in there also. But we know that quercetin is also very important for cardiovascular health. It helps to improve the endothelial function. It helps reduce blood pressure, and it lowers the LDL cholesterol. Ergothioneine is another one that is in the brown and whites. Dr. Greger talks about Johns Hopkins University believing that this is going to be the very next vitamin. And it's been probably 60 or 70 years since a vitamin has been added to our list. But ergothioneine is the one that they expect to be the next one. It is a naturally occurring antioxidant that is found in mushrooms, and certain other foods. But when you look at the certain other foods, their amount of ergothioneine is way down here, and it's way up here with mushrooms. So certainly mushrooms are and they're not a vegetable, they're a fungi. They are the fungi of choice here. But it is associated with reducing oxidative stress, preventing heart disease, and cancer, of course. So here are some of your brown and white. Of course, I don't have rice in here. We have brown rice. We have all sorts of, your wild grains can be in here as well. Your beans also can be in here. So once again, I hope that you're seeing that you can really use a lot of variety in all of these fruits and vegetables, beans, peas, legumes, and fungi as well. So moving on, eating a rainbow at each meal is very important. The U.S. dietary guidelines recommends that we have 2.5 cups of fruit and vegetables a day. Now, for somebody who is whole food plant-based, that really sounds like just a little bit. But if you think about one of the original slides I had, where we are falling 80% shy, 88% shy of blue, 69% shy of green, there are a lot of people who aren't even coming close to this. Some people don't even eat fruits and vegetables, which is so sad for me. So when we're looking at these serving sizes, think about an apple. An apple would be 1 serving, but if you cut it up, it would be 1/2 cup. If you cut up your fruit, it's going to be 1/2 cup of fruit or a medium-sized piece of fruit. When it comes to vegetables, we want 2.5 cups a day or 5 different servings a day. And I know most of you who are on this are already at that level, right? So, but 5 servings a day would be 5 1/2 cups of cooked vegetables. That would not, and if they're raw vegetables, we're looking at 5 cups of raw vegetables. And of course, we should have a happy mix between the two. If you're a person who has some issues, digestion issues, it's probably better to eat your food cooked and more cooked than normal. So it will help you with that digestion, okay? Next, we're going to look at cultures. When we look at cultures, there is a foundation of most recipes. And I'm going to talk about very quickly about a Creole, because I come from New Orleans, and there's Creole, and we'll talk about that in a second, but there's a basis, and it's that foundation. Almost all of your recipes have that foundation. And so as we look at all of these different cultures, we see that there's a lot of diversity. They have that flavor base, and that flavor base really expands on all of the dishes that they prepare. But they're all a little bit different from one culture to the next. They have aromas that are absolutely incredible. We'll see different textures, we'll see different colors in there. And what happens with all of this is it balances the flavor. And it really makes it very specific to a region or to a culture. But we also see where there's versatility. And so we may all be in a rut with our cooking, but when we start looking at some of these different recipes or different cultural bases, we may see that we may be able to pick up some of their culture and put it into ours and provide more versatility. So once again, I'm starting with the Holy Trinity, and I want to say this is the Holy Grail for the Cajuns and the Creoles. Usually it's 2 cups of chopped onions or shallots, 1 cup of bell pepper. I don't like bell pepper, so with my Holy Trinity, I am going to use the yellow, red, and or orange bell peppers. Now, what's really nice with that, according to Will Bolsowitz, Dr. B, he'll say that each of those colors represents a different vegetable. So if you are using that variety, red, yellow, green, or orange, then you would actually be getting 4 different varieties there. So, think about that when you are doing something. Even with quinoa, I'm going to digress a little bit. Think about quinoa. There's 3 different colors, and I find that means 3 different varieties there. So think about how you can do that to add variety to your diet, trying to get up to those 30, 40, or 50 different plants on your plate. Okay, so once again, when we're looking at the Holy Trinity, and we will have these recipe cards for you in the show notes. They're not ready for you now. But you can see that when you combine all of these, and I know that you probably have done this in the past, you're going to get an incredible aroma. You're getting texture, you're getting variety in color, but also the balance of the flavor. It's so crucial, and it provides harmony in flavors and preventing any single one ingredient from overpowering the dish, because we wouldn't want our bell peppers to be overpowering. We know that our celery is a little bit on the bitter side, so we would not want bitterness. But when we have our onions, it's going to help balance all of these. And once again, this combination, 2 cups of onion, 1 cup of bell pepper, and 1 cup of chopped celery.
Debbie, I was very interested in what you said at the bottom of that recipe. You said that you can also prepare that and then put it in the freezer to add easily to anything else you're making for flavor. That is such a cool idea.
Yes, Kathy. So actually, if time permits, I'm going to be showing you that. So at the bottom of that, what you would want to do, or at the bottom of a recipe, it says that you can prepare these and put them in Ziploc bags. I'm looking to see. I like to put them in a quart Ziploc bag and put them in the freezer. Put the date on there, and it's probably going to be good for a month or 2. But so I have my celery here, but before I freeze this, I would mix this with whichever. I would freeze it with some carrots. I would freeze it with some onions so that I would have that mix there. You can find some of those. I know mirepoix is very prevalent in grocery stores in the freezer section. So you can find it. And it just makes things so much easier from the get-go so that you don't have to, and give me 3 of those bags, please. So that you don't have to chop everything up right beforehand. Now, some of you find chopping very therapeutic. The other thing I want you to notice here is that you want to have it, cameraman, you want to have it all about the same size. Now, Hope has been here a few days, and you're going to be meeting her soon. And she has been working with me for quite a while, and I am teaching her chopping skills. So I want you to notice that all of these are very much similar in size, and that's very important. Now, the mirepoix is, thanks, Hope. The mirepoix is going to be a little bit different. You can have the small pieces like this that we would normally find in the Holy Trinity, but you can also have larger pieces. You just want to make sure that they're going to be similar in size so that they can cook at the same rate as others, because you're going to be cooking them together. So the mirepoix is the French version of the Holy Trinity, and it's usually the foundation of all of their ingredients as well. And you'll notice that it still has 2 cups of onions, 1 cup of carrots, and 1 cup of celery. And the carrots is going to actually bring some sweetness to the mix. Now, this isn't saying that they're not going to use bell pepper, even though there are, some of the French recipes that I'm thinking don't necessarily have bell pepper, but you can see that there's going to be a balanced blend and the flavors are going to be balanced. So that's going to be important as well. The next one is the Three Sisters, and this is from Native American. And I just want to mention something here. These are used from Native Americans, and they are grown together so that they're sustainable in the agriculture. And I just want to read this to you because it involves growing squash, corn, and beans together in the same plot of land. And this method is not only efficient in terms of space and utilization, but it also promotes the health of the soil. Corn provides a natural support structure for beans to climb on, while beans fix the nitrogen in the soil, benefiting the growth of both corn and squash. And squash plants create a ground cover, suppressing weed growth and conserving soil moisture. This symbolic relationship exemplifies sustainable agricultural practices that have been used for centuries in the Native American populations. So that's really interesting. For me, I did not know that before I started doing this. So in this recipe, you're going to basically have equal amounts, 2 cups of squash, and it can be any squash. Think of all of the different squashes that are out there. 2 cups of beans and 2 cups of corn. So once again, when you go back and look at all of the beans, there are probably at least 50 to 70 different types of beans, peas, and legumes. So squash, I know there is at least 25 different types of squash. And corn, there are different types of corn as well. So you can see the versatility there, but you can also see how each one of them are going to provide a different flavor, a different texture, a different color, and it's just going to make your ability to get 30, 40, or 50 different plants on your plate so much easier. Okay, and then the last one, well, almost the last one. We're talking about sofrito, and we're going to be making an Italian dish today, pasta primavera, because that's something that's near and dear to everybody's heart. But with sofrito, and this is the Italian spelling, it's 2 F's and 2 T's. It has 1 cup of onions or shallots, 1 cup of diced carrots, and 1 cup of celery. So it's a little bit different from the French mirepoix because the mirepoix had more onions in it. Okay, you can mix it with many, many different things, as you will see what we are doing today. But once again, it provides aromatics, texture, color. It's going to be a balanced flavor, and it also has versatility, but it has a cultural significance that dates back centuries and centuries and centuries. It's incredible. So the last one, I don't have a card ready for this, but it is the Mexican sofrito, and that only has 1 F and it only has 1 T. It has onions, it has bell pepper, it has red pepper, and then it has cubanella peppers. And under that cubanella peppers, there's actually a long list of things that you could actually add to it. So you can see that it's very pepper friendly. It also has garlic and cilantro. And the optional things are tomatoes, carrots, and tomatoes and carrots. So you can see that that can be a whole big variety of things. Okay. So here are some of the sources that I found this on. And that is it for the presentation, except we're going to start real fast on our cooking demonstration. Are there any questions? I'm going to stop my sharing.
Ken, did we miss any of the questions?
Yes, there is one question that someone had earlier. When you said you should have 2 carrots per day, they said, should it be cooked or could it be raw? And I guess that a question applies to all the vegetables. If you cook them, does it deteriorate the benefits from them?
Some of them it does, and some of it doesn't. So when Dr. Barnard said that, he just said 2 carrots a day. And, and he said medium to large, I believe is what he said, but 30 milligrams of beta carotene is what we're getting here. Okay, that's a good question. But with carrots, I think raw is always great, but if you can't have them raw, have them cooked. As I said, for some people who have GI distress, you've got to cook your vegetables a whole lot longer. And you're still getting the same vegetables. You may be depleting some of the nutrients in the way you're cooking them. With carrots, we know that they are very water soluble. So if you are cooking them, don't cook them in water. Steaming them on low is going to be better. When we cook our vegetables, we know that cooking them under 200 degrees is going to be preferable. There are people who do raw diets, and raw diets means that they can cook something, but they are using heat lower than 118 degrees. So all of those play into the part, but with the raw vegetables, they're doing that because raw is better, but some people can't do raw, and we need to be able to address everybody's needs. That's a great question.
And Debbie, our speaker from last month is here, Dr. Taher, and he just sent a direct message to me that I think the whole group needs to hear. He said you did a great, straightforward explanation of this complex information, so it was easy for all of us to understand, and he appreciates that, Deb. And I'll have to tell you, I really was amazed at all the things that colors can do for our bodies. That's really super. Is there anything else you wanted to add, Dr. Taylor? Probably not. So, okay, we'll move on. But thank you for that comment. Oh, there he is. Yay.
Hey, you need to unmute yourself, Akil.
Hi, Debbie.
Hey, thank you for joining us.
Great job, Debbie. Great.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anything you want to add there?
Not really. You've covered all the bases.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here. Okay, well, we're going to try to keep to our schedule here. I've got to introduce my friend here, my sister. This is Hope, and y'all may have heard that I had shoulder surgery, and my right shoulder, I'm not allowed to do anything with it. So Hope is going to be my right shoulder. She and I have been working together for 2 years, 3 years?
2 years, almost 3.
And Hope has lost 80 pounds?
Almost 80.
Almost 80 pounds. When she changed to a plant-based diet, briefly tell your story.
When I turned 62, I went to the doctor. I had my regular blood work done, and all my numbers were in the toilet. My blood pressure was high, my weight, I was, obese. My LDL, my HDL, all my cholesterol was way out of whack, and I just couldn't pretend anymore. I had to call Debbie. I had to call Fix-It ma'am, the Fix-It lady, just to save me. She saved my life. I can't say anything less than that. I feel with all my heart that she has saved my life.
I paid her to say that, so.
Hardly anything.
Okay, we are going to get started. Now, we are using pasta primavera, and you're going to get the recipe in the show notes. We will also, when we send out the recording, we will also have this, but we are starting with sofrito. And on the sofrito, well, let me digress 1 second. Because we know that in our cooking, we are not using oil. So what we need to do to bring out all of the flavors in our in these foundations in our sofrito or our Holy Trinity or a mirepoix, we need to sweat them. So we put on cameraman. So we have on our sofrito our beautiful colors, our yellows, our orange, our greens, and our whites. We also have in here, yes, so put that in. So we are
See-
making pasta primavera, and this is going to be very, very easy. It's going to be like a stir fry, but we had this sweating, and it really is very nice if you can sweat it 15 minutes if you have that time. And we just started it early. And I'm trying things with my left hand here. So we started it early. We're going to keep this going here. And we have our Salad Master electric oil core skillet. I always have to say that with my Food for Life vest on or apron on, because Salad Master is a corporate sponsor. So Hope, come on up here. The next thing that we are going to do on the recipe. So once again, the first step was this to prepare our sofrito, adding garlic and parsley. So we've already done that, okay?
The smell is amazing.
Yes, the aroma is just incredible. So now we are going to add our zucchinis. So we have, and we cut these in lunas. So Hope has been in her journey this week in culinary skills. She is cutting, and we're making little lunas out of our zucchini. So basically that's cutting it straight down the middle and then making little half moons in there. We're going to add the zucchinis. We are going to add, let's do the tomatoes very last, our mushrooms next. So think about this, folks. If you had the frozen sofrito, I always want to add an A there. If you had the frozen sofrito and you took it out of the refrigerator, let it defrost a couple of hours, and then put that in the pan, and then you have all of these other things. You can get the sliced mushrooms. All we did was we bought them sliced already at the store. Okay, wash those, dry them off. Some people don't wash them, they just dust them off. I'm a nerd, I like to wash mine. Okay, so we've got this going. This is really going to take about 5 minutes. Okay, so let's add our tomatoes. Whoops, there you go. So our tomatoes, and then we're going to cover this up for just, oh, you know what we're going to do? We're going to put our pasta in, well, no, let's add our spinach is next. So let's put that on top. And we're going to let this wilt some, not all of it, not all. Okay, so we're going to let that wilt some. And we're going to get this nice and heated. Any questions at this point? Because we've got to let this cook just a little bit.
Vicki, do you see any comments or questions we want to share?
No, we've pretty much been answering them in the chat box as we went. So I think we're good unless somebody's got some questions now on the cooking. There was a question asked about Debbie's presentation. So I'll just go ahead now and tell you that that is going to be in the chat box, and you can save the chat box. Many of you may know how to do that. If you don't, if you'll look at the chat box along the bottom, there's several little symbols, including a smiley face, and it looks like a page, and then 3 little dots. If you'll click on those 3 little dots, save chat will be one of the options there. And when you click on that, then when the chat gets closed, it's going to save Zoom. The magic of Zoom is going to save that chat right to your computer. So all of the links and questions and everything that were in the chat, you'll have once this presentation is over.
Thanks, Vicki. And I do have to share a comment from Valerie. Hope, you look amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. I feel pretty amazing too.
Okay, so I just wanted to share. Cameraman's going to fix this for us. Okay, so there's our Pacific organic vegetable broth. I want to say, I know I go through this a lot, or a lot of vegetable broth, but I have been getting this on Amazon and it's less than $3 for the organic. I know the organic in some stores is almost $6 a box. So you may want to try Amazon. Also, we are going to be using chickpea rotini. And I believe we got this at Aldi's the other day. The only ingredient is chickpeas, and it has 19 grams of protein per serving. So this is a really good buy. I also found Barilla, and I believe this was at Publix, and it's orzo. So if you want smaller pieces of pasta, this looks very, very good. Okay, so we already have our pasta made, and Hope, if you want to give this a stir and let's see how it is, because we don't want those vegetables to be overcooked. We have our sofrita done already, and I have added about 2 cups of vegetable broth, maybe not quite that amount, but the next thing that we are going to do is put our pasta in here and fold that up and just heat it.
Is it cooked, Deb? Is the
Yes,
pasta?
the pasta is cooked. This is another thing that you can do to save time, because you can cook the pasta and you can freeze it already cooked.
And it smells delicious.
Yes. Okay. And I also have some chopped basil. And this is because I don't always have fresh basil, but I do like this that is semi-fresh. It's freeze-dried. So I'm sprinkling that on top. No, we're going to put those at the end. And then we'll also have some scallions that at the very end, we're going to add to the dish. Does that look yummy?
Boy, all the colors too. Hope, does it still smell good?
Oh my God, you can't believe how good it smells over here. Anybody in Lakeland might want to come over and help after this. Yeah, it smells delicious.
Okay, no, I think it's all done. And so we're going to, can you spoon it in here?
I can.
I tell you what, I've been getting off easy these days. Because Hope and KZ and Linda and my other sister Judy have been helping with everything.
She's been a princess all her life, and now we've got proof.
Okay, you know what, just leave it like that and just put that to the side right now. Okay, so Casey, if you can zoom out just a little bit, there you go. And now we are going to add some scallions on the top of here. Now, I don't know how many minutes that took, but I don't think it took long. And now we're going to add nutty parm to set it off. Get back over here. Okay. And look how beautiful that is. Be careful the juice.
Looks like a rainbow.
Just like a rainbow. So zoom out, love. So folks, I think that is all the time we have. We made it right to 1 o'clock, but certainly we are here to answer questions.
Okay, let's see. We've got, I didn't see, did I miss any questions? Ken and Vicki and Linda?
No, I think we pretty much
Yep.
covered everything. It's just a matter of getting the stuff in the Zoom, in the chat. And if anybody has any questions about saving the chat, let us know. I know in the past that Debbie has emailed the chat to some who contacted her and weren't able to save it. So if that happens, just contact one of us and we'll make sure you get the chat, because there's going to be some good links in there. I'll let Linda explain to you what links she's putting in there.
Yeah, Linda, I think we're ready to do those too. So,
I just posted them. They should be out there.
Yeah, they're showing up.
Okay. The
So
first
this-
one is the PowerPoint that was
Yeah.
requested.
Yeah.
And the second one, Kathy, you may want to go over this. This is the calendar for Chat and Chew.
Yes, yes, we have 2 more sessions after this one, and you can see them at the bottom. If you want to look closely at that, just point your camera at the QR code and it'll take you there. But Chuck Carroll is our next speaker, and he's going to do plant-based diet, help fight food addiction and morbid obesity. And then our last speaker will address bone health. And Chuck will be on April the 19th. So this is really, I don't know if you've seen him, but he's on the exam room. He's the main he hosts it. And that is one of the most outstanding podcasts that's out there for health. So if you haven't discovered it, look for it. It's really good. They have the top nutrition experts as guests on the program with Dr. Neil Barnard as well. And then if you want to know how to register for Chuck Carroll's Zoom, and you can send an email to our Chat and Chew email address, and we'll put you on the list, because the next newsletter will have the Eventbrite site for you. So that one's on there, isn't it too, Linda?
Yes, that's after the schedule.
Okay.
And then I think the last post there is the information about the live stream of today's Zoom meeting with Debbie's presentation today. And that's going to be available by next Monday.
Yeah.
And of course, last but not least, we have Debbie's website, and there's a wealth of information out there on coaching and recipes and lots of fun events that we've had in the past and that are coming up in the future. So be sure you visit Debbie's website. Very nice, Deb.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Lots of good comments coming in the chat box too. Thank you. Everything looks great. This was great. Love the color content and learned a lot. The cooking demo was great. I just made a vegan stew, but I love what you did folding the pasta into those veggies. Haven't done that yet.
Good stuff.
Thank you. That was a good comment from Vlyn. Yes, thank you, Vlyn. Okay. Is there anything else, Debbie, you wanted to add before we close out?
No, I just want to say thanks to everybody who made it. You made me feel right at home.
And
sorry for the baby angels barking.
We didn't even hear him, Deb. And thank you so much, Debbie, for continuing your coaching above and beyond those little of the wishes of that little 14-year-old girl so long ago. You've really had an amazing life in helping others find help. Thank you.
Well, if the truth be known, it was the needles that scared me the most.
I do have one more question. If I
Okay.
have shoulder surgery, will Hope come stay with me and help me?
Oh, yes.
Wait, who is that?
That's Vicky.
Yes, I'll come help you. Where do
Thank you. I'm going to get it lined up.
Oh, yeah, that's an easy.
Sure.
Oh, and thank you so much, Hope. You did a fantastic.
You
Happy
did.
to help. Very happy to help.
Love
Yay for Hope. You're a
I
good
get lunch out of this.
you're a good sister and a good shoulder.
Oh.
Thank you.